Hey buddies, welcome to Mass Games. My name is Simon. This is episode 2 of the Mass Games podcast. So previously I gave you my introduction. I will be elaborating on that slightly just to do with what other things you may expect actually in future episodes. So previously I had mentioned about some of the things I had been looking forward to playing as well as some things I had played. Well, let's talk a little bit more about actually some games that got me into board gaming. One in particular was Market Today, that came out by Ravensburger in the 80s, or Ravensburger. And also You're Bluffing, which also came out in the mid-80s, which happened to be recommended for Spiel.digital. Now, Spiel.digital is the most prestigious awards for recommending board games, for ultimately being the equivalent of the Oscars or the Academy Awards, for recommending great design. Now, we'll be doing a separate episode about that. You can already see that over on the YouTube channel already. But other such topics will include dice distancing, a bit more in detail about that. Other games I've been playing, stats, which we'll be talking about in this episode. History of board gaming, which is also a video already that I've made. Also, a guild about asking questions is available. So if ever you want to ask more things about, well, you want to hear about this sooner rather than later, then please head over to Board Game Geek. There's already that link through, ultimately in the description in this podcast for you to find that. More about where I play, more about competitions, more about conventions such as UK Games Expo, Spiel Essen, Tabletop Gaming Live and Hexagon as well. I always wear my same grey shorts, the same t-shirts and other ways in which you can recognise me. Also there's accessories, things about mats, trays, towers, sleeves, pens and coasters amongst other things. More in fact I'll be getting in September. So this has been recorded in August 2023. Other topics include analysis paralysis, jargon, other mechanisms, abstract games, chess as its own hobby and own podcast in its own right for an episode. Also more about Euro games, the frequency in which I tend to play, what to pack when you go to conventions, or in general if you go in someone's house, or what games you might want to bring, and also about other reviewers that I might well play with. So coming back to Ravensburg, that is a place in Germany, and it's a place that I have visited because it is the home of, let's say, modern board games, or at least modern components for board games in 1908, when the advent of parlour games kind of came and went and moved on to where it is today. Now, previously I mentioned I was sat in my armchair looking at about a sixth of my collection of games. I'm now sat in a different room, in a different lovely comfy chair, and I'm now looking at another set of games. Now, games include here from Modiphius, we have got a Capstone game expansion, that's for Maracaibo. I've got Avalon Hill games in front of me, Funko, Handsome Gluck, Black Fire, and that is Kalamala, the first edition. Also PSC games, which is now Floodgate games, because this is the trilogy of Paolo Mori's trilogy of World War in 20 minutes, or World War II, although the third game isn't by Paolo Mori. Also Undaunted Battle of Britain, more war games in fact, some trivia games, games by Emperor 54, Pocket campaign games, more Pandasaurus games, Ryasim, more Pegasus Spieler games, Alphabet games, Portal, ESG, Gold, Cyber Spieler, Haber, and many other publishers. So I was going to talk to you about stats. So we are in a new month, it is early August. So I was going to tell you about the amount of plays I played in July 2023. Now these are in-person plays because I always find it interesting. Some people are not on the fence or are on the fence about whether you should log plays which are digital, because some people feel that it's not right because generally speaking you will play a game quicker. Some games do in fact take as long, and typically you might end up playing a turn-based game and you have to remember what you're doing, but ultimately this is for offline plays. So for me it was a total of 199 plays. I've listed it as 6 locations, but the admin of putting in a location, even if you're having to have already put it in to then select from a drop-down, can be a bit annoying. So generally speaking I've lumped a lot of things together, and the radius actually isn't massive. We're talking 20 miles, 30 kilometers, so not very far apart at all. Also the amount of players, well 37 I've named, and there's 37 players, 24 of which I've named. I've then had a H-index of 6. I played at least 6 games at least 6 times in the month of July 2023. There were 66 games, my copies were 33, new to me were 34, 243 hours, 31 days, of course that's all the days. Most played games, so let's talk about those now. Terracotta Army, 27 hours, that's 11 plays. Undaunted Normandy, 16 hours, 11 plays. And Fleet the Dice game, this is the second edition, 9 hours, 11 plays. Now there's also other games in here such as Sea Change. There's a certain version of Rory Story Cubes which is not yet on the channel I believe. That is Score, but you might find that there too. There is Escape Tales as a specific one of those, so check out that. All the trilogies are on the website. Obviously head over to or Google Amass Games. I'm also appearing in an article, actually, it's coming off a separate tangent, as I've had a notification in a newspaper as well. So that's to do with that board game event. And it has a circulation of about 500,000 people. And another newspaper has now been involved. There's now 2. So that's really cool. A party game. There's also more Undaunted. So there's actually reinforcements played as well. Teotihuacan, the Incan game. Then more Micro Macro. Aeon's End War Eternal. Port Royal, Sanssouci, Escape, Imhotep the Duel, a lot more games, a lot more videos. If they're not already on the channel, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and of course share over on YouTube. Obviously defaulting in my terminologies there too. So we were talking about Oath in that prior episode, and that's something I was just going to touch on now. So I am playing with the guy who brought that round again tomorrow. In fact, he's the guy who gave me Micro Dojo, which I've already opened and look forward to be playing very soon. It's a 1 to 2 player game, which takes about 30 minutes. Involving action movement, and you're moving to a space and triggering those actions, trying to get some victory points. So speaking about Oath, it is an asymmetric game. It's best as a 4, I've been told. I have played it as a 4, and I can see why. I think there's a king-making aspect if you play it as a 3. You can play it as a 5 as well. The teach is given as a 4, and the guy who taught it played as the Chancellor. Everyone else plays as an exile, and you have war bands, which you can bring to your defense. You can muster them, you can get coin, you can trade, and you can do various different actions to campaign and control various different sites on this neoprene map in this world. And the aim of the game is to reach a certain endgame condition and do that within 8 rounds. Now the Chancellor can win from round 5 if at the end of the round they're in a position to do so. They roll a die. If they hit a 6, then they win. The next round they win if they roll a 5 or 6. The round after that, they roll and hit on a 3, 4, 5 or 6 to win. Now, there are vision cards. Now, they can come up in the game. There are 5 of them. And if you happen to find a vision that you think you can then complete, then you will reveal it. And if you can complete it or be in the position whereby it's correct that your vision is accurate, i.e. you've got the most warbands on the board, wherever it might be, when it hits your turn again, then you win. Now, that naturally has a great self-balancing mechanism. Everyone else is trying to compete to do that. Now, myself and the person to my right happen to both reveal our cards, and the Chancellor happened to both quell and quash and destroy the ability for us to win on our next turn, which then gave the person to the left of the Chancellor the opportunity to win, because it turned out that they had a vision that was pretty much impenetrable. They had so many warbands out, they did not go all over the board. They stayed in one location, they pretty much turtled, and it turned out that they were able to win through that because we could not get enough die rolls, or they happened to get very good die rolls as well. Now, die rolls in a game is great, it's immersive. There's a lot of stand-up moments of what could occur. Equally, if you're more into your Euro games, you might want it to be a bit more of a foregone conclusion, which of course, it really depends. You obviously need to have great balance. You don't get that, obviously, in the game that he brought before, which was Dune Imperium. However, of course, dice and cards are similar in the sense you don't know what you're going to get next. So that is where you need to be aware of whatever you might prefer. So what was my rating for Oath? Well, I would give it a 7.8, which is actually the same as what it is online as well. For me, though, that actually rates a slightly higher weighting on average, based on my average rating being a 6.37. Now, I did mention future podcasts will be talking about other reviewers. That includes actually my ratings for over 2,300 board game reviews compared to other board game reviewers who have either rated that amount or more, or highly regarded people in the industry who I think be interesting to hear actually what is their average rating as well. Now, as for other games that are going to be played, there is a playtest in fact going on with a very famous designer, Top 10, and this designer's game, or one of their other games, has already been mentioned on this podcast already. So in terms of other games that are coming to the channel soon, they include, yet to be decided specifically from this publisher, but maybe Genotype or Cellulose, because I'm playing with someone who, like myself, happened to study biology, and therefore they were very keen to play it. So that's why I'm going to be opening that next. More stuff about the Everdell Complete Collection, which I'm looking at right now. So look forward to getting that, those stickers put in. More stuff from Scout. So Scout, my copy at least, was held by the designer, and most of the Oink team had COVID, which is why I haven't been wanting to play my copy since. And when I first played Scout, I was looking forward to playing it, but I was disappointed. I think the teach I was given In fact, I believe I played it with the chap David, who brought Oath, and is looking forward to playing on this podcast as well. It didn't shine with me I thought it would. Now, someone else, Paul, who will be joining the podcast at some point, who's presently away, he's a big fan of Scout. He's got a copy and we're very keen to get it played and play it some more. Other games include some solo games. So in the Universe or Oniverse, that will have a game brought to the channel as well, and there'll be lots more coming. So I've got lots of those games. There are other games as well, such as by Wise Wizards Games. Now, Wise Wizards used to be called White Wizard Games, and with the Me Too movement, as well as Black Lives Matter, that was changed to be Wise Wizard. I completely understand why they've done that. I don't know if some people, again, might regard it as an overreaction. I can see the white bit being a factor. Equally, when you think about things like Tolkien's universe, does that necessarily matter? Well, the decision has been made. I do have some games which have White Wizard, some games that say Wise Wizard, and yet to decide which game might be opening. Kapow is their latest offering, which I got at UK Games Expo 2023. However, I might choose to open Sorcerer, which I know David's keen to play, which is a 2-player game. But I do have mats for Hero Realms and for the other one, which is not Fantasy Realms. That's another game coming to the channel. But for, I think it's Star Realms, that's the one. And I've got Epic and other things from them too. So lots of games coming to the channel, and there have been daily videos the last 5 years, so lots of stuff to talk about. And other games that I'll be playing, I think there'll be some more Undaunted. There are other games such as in the Wonderful World board games, and also Wonderful World board games, or Wonderful board games, and also Wonder Bow board games. So there's Animals Gathering, and I think it's Hunters of the Lost Creatures of the Lost Valley, something like that. Lots more coming in that respect. So other games. So I've been lent some games to record. Now these are games I used to actually have myself, include Cards Against Humanity. So that's going to be coming, and I look forward to seeing if the word bukkake comes up, which is not a swear word, but is certainly a word that is used to often win at such a game. There are some other games that I look forward to playing as well. So there are some other games in the Exit series. So that's another game I played recently. It was one of my top games in the Exit series. It was a bit fiddly in places, and the theme really shone through. So if you're checking this out next week, there aren't any videos out anyway to do with it, so I'm pretty sure I'll be the first, and that is the Sherlock Holmes one, Disappearance of Sherlock Holmes. Having played 26 plus exits, I would definitely give it in the top 5. Not the best, but I would say maybe the third, second or fourth best game. Now, there were some issues to do with the fact that when you have some cards, you don't know if you've got everything you need. That is something whereby Escape Tiles is really good. You know how many cards you are going to need, or how many things, whatever it might be. Equally, you don't know when to discard stuff, which is where Unlock is really good. So I played all the Unlocks, played all the Escape Tiles to date, apart from the most recent one. And it is a bit of a factor that was anything that kind of let it down. I know they've all trying to be a bit different. It's a shame they didn't just kind of converge on best practice there. So other games, I played a lot of the Button Shy games. I played 4 or so of those. Some games which you can all play solo, but I happen to play these games as 2. So they've all been filmed, and they are going to be going live in the next month or so, as and when there's a spare date. I taught somebody Crown of Amara as well, so that was very much enjoyable game to play. Always been impressed with it. Always been disappointed perhaps by the title. I'm not sure what else we'd call it. But I love the idea by Benjamin Schwer, who's bringing out another game at Essen Spiel to do with, in a Eurozone setting, and he also created the wonderful game Hadara. I still think Crown of Amara is probably his best game. He created an awful roll and write game, I think. I don't know if it was Bricks, but there's another game which I didn't like. However, when he does his medium weight games, they're just so good. It's a double rondel game whereby you have 3 cards, you play out those 3 cards, you choose what you want to do with them. They allow you to get more resources, allow you to move more, take more actions, be more efficient with what you can do, maybe use those cards to get nobles, which you want to do sooner than somebody else. It's a game which only lasts over 6 rounds, and of those 3 cards, you play out 3 of your 9, and then you'll be playing out another 3, and then another 3, and you have to shuffle up and draw 3, so you won't know what you're going to get. And then once you've completed that, well, that's half the game done, because you've played 3 rounds, and then you take all these cards back, shuffle up again, draw 3 more and go again. So, yeah, very much enjoyed Crown of Amara. I've played over it 20 different plays of it now, and it hasn't bored me. I've got the promos as well, involving a Yeti, which likes to eat bread, which is a lot of fun. So check out my various videos, including a solo playthrough, for how to play that game. What else? Well, we have more games that I look forward to trying. So ARVs or AVs, I've also been playing and recording as well. That is on Board Game Arena. So if you do want to check that out, that is the place to sort of give it a go, including Micro Dojo as well. Also played No Thanks a few times, involving David and Paul, who I mentioned before, and playing as a 4, myself and somebody else who happened to both tie for victory on 43 points, which is not a particularly good score, but the other two happened to both tie for coming last or joint third with, I think, a score of 64 or 67. And 43 and 54, that was the two different scores. What else did we play? Well, we played some Deep Sea Adventure as well, so didn't get particularly low scores. I think the lowest I'm aware someone could get is 1, but I scored 21 points in that one there. What else? Well, more Good Cop, Bad Cop. So this was, it was actually the 4th edition, but there's no actual listing or profile for that presently. So that is the 3rd edition. I did mention I'm in a different room. It happens to be some construction work, something going on outside. So I don't think it'll be picking up on the microphone, but just being aware that you might hear some disturbances. Apologies if you hear that. I'm also getting some more card sleeves. Now these are European card sleeves, not just in the size of the cards that they're going to be, but there will be some that I'm looking to try out and see how different they are. I'm getting fairly low on the 59 by 92, that's the standard European size card, as well as the, I think they're 63 by 88 or 88.5 millimeter ones as well, and that's the standard card size you would get for the likes of Lost Ruins of Arnak. So cards for that'd be great to have. Also some 45 by 68, which is great for the game Meadow. So 220 cards for that, so sleeving them up would be fantastic. I look forward to, bring those out and showing them off and seeing how good they are, comparing them to those other games. I've also been playing more Micro Macro All In. So this is the 3rd game in the Micro Macro series. It's blue, the 4th one is yellow, I'm guessing. The second one, Full House, was green. The first one was obviously red for Murder, for Crime City. And the first case and the second case, they were both the distance between where you're trying to figure out this is a crime scene in times, i.e. you're seeing something happen and then you're moving and you're seeing the same character on a map, but obviously they've moved again, and it's showing out and you're trying to spell out like breadcrumbs what on earth has occurred. However, the issue I found is the distance between their first and second appearance on the map is typically a little bit greater than I recognise it on the other maps. Now these maps do all kind of join up, which is really cool, so looking forward to that 4th one. Whether or not we're going to need stickers or something to try and create some new cases, I don't know. There's a homeless guy who's been in all 3 of the books so far, which I don't think has been used. I'm guessing after with the second game in the series, which I can look at the series right now, they definitely seem to be aware of the fact that they were going for 4 cases, 4 different maps combining. And as for the themes of them obviously being suitable for kids, suitable for, let's say, young adults, suitable for adults, even the murder aspect of the second case, whilst there wasn't anything explicitly bad and it was recommended for kids, there were some pretty horrific looking things on the map which you would definitely glance and spot, and I feel that is a bit of a worry that some people might want to consider, knowing that some people have definitely not opened like the 3rd one because they had young kids who were scared off wanting to do it again. So Essen Spiel or Spiel Essen isn't too far off. We do have obviously Gen Con this weekend, which isn't something I'm going to. It isn't something I'd necessarily anticipated going to anytime soon, but it is something that I could definitely consider going in the future. I'm aware that it gets very, very packed in terms of trying to get accommodation because of where it's situated, and you do need to stay in numerous other cities. However, Essen is similar. I know people, including myself, who were travelling in over 30 minutes away, so on 2 prior Essens that is something I've done. This year I will be in Essen, but it's still a 45-minute walk if I wish to take that mode of transport. What else is there? So there are some books. I'm still reading through another Aconite book, and that is I think the 3rd or 4th book in the Legend of the Five Rings series. Definitely the most interesting theme of all the books I've read, pretty much. I've read more than once. I have read the Terraforming Mars book. I've read the Pandemic book, which was rather good. I guess the meta idea is you're sharing your cards. And I do have a few Arkham books, which I'm generally not into Arkham, but having seen a few things recently, especially Bureau of Investigation, which is Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, I'm definitely keen to see how those ones pan out. So again, it wasn't a massive theme to this particular episode. It was more about what I played and some of the things of what I will be playing. So there's another playtest doing with one of those most prestigious awarded designers there is, and they are happy with some of the stuff that we've been working on and are very keen to pick up on TTS and look into it. They're keen to do that. They've even created the stuff on TTS, and they don't need to worry about it being polished or balanced at all. It's more about how a turn looks like, so that's really good to hear. Other games, well, I'm looking forward to trying out Sagrada as a 5 or a 6 as I do with the expansion, and get that to the table at a higher player count. I don't know if it's going to delay things. We'll find out. But yeah, there's a few filler bits now I'm filling in, so hopefully this was insightful, and again, look forward to bringing you more information on the next episode. But for now, back to the table.